Hello, friends, and welcome back to the And Also podcast. I am your host, Madison, and today's topic is actually not something I really ever expected to get into on this show. We are going to be talking about postpartum depression and anxiety, self-identity and motherhood through the lens of a young first-time mom. And this conversation was super interesting and inspiring to me. One, because I feel like a lot of this stuff is just simply not talked about, like a lot of the topics on the podcast. And also, I don't want kids. Like, I simply do not want kids. I've never wanted kids. It's never been something that I have been drawn to, and I've kind of known that from a young age. Recently, I've been considering it and just kind of thinking about it more as I get older and just wondering if it is what I want, is it not what I want? This conversation today just really helped to educate me, and I'm hoping it will do the same for you guys. And if you are a mom and you're struggling with your mental health, I really, really wanted this episode to speak to those of you who relate to that experience, because it's such an overlooked experience and one that is so incredibly important. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I really hope you enjoy the guest and our little mini second guest, Layla. You'll see her if you're watching the video version, and you'll definitely hear her a lot. A little disclaimer, you might hear some baby cooing sounds in the background of this video. I'm going to do my best to edit it in a way where you don't hear it a ton, but realistically, at the end of the day, like, my guest brought her baby because she needed to. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she needed to have her baby here, which is totally fine. And I still wanted to record the episode, and it just kind of added some very comical moments to the show. So I hope it's not super, bothersome to you guys. But other than that, if you're watching the video version and I look like I just got stuck in a rainstorm, it's literally because I did. So that's why my hair is soaking wet. So please do not mind. And if this topic doesn't speak to you or doesn't resonate with you, definitely send it to a friend or family member who you feel like could hear some of these things. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, but before we get into that, let's get into our drink of the day. Today we are drinking iced oat milk lattes with French vanilla flavor. This was as per my guest's request, so of course we had to do it. And definitely let me know in the comments what you are sipping on as you're watching this video. And let's get into the book of the day before we get into this topic. So I honestly don't have any books about motherhood other than this book called Philosophical Parenting, or Parenting as a Philosopher. I will link it below. And I actually read that book and gifted it to a friend of mine who has 2 kids. And I just thought it was super interesting and a really fascinating way to look at parenthood. So that is a book that I think if you want something related to parenthood, you should totally check it out. And especially if you are more of a philosophical thinker when it comes to life and applying that to parenthood, I felt like it was a really great conversational piece to really get you thinking about how you want to frame parenthood for you and your life. The other book I'm going to be talking about today is Self-Expressions, Mind, Morals, and the Meaning of Life. Now, obviously, like I said, I don't have a ton of books on parenting because it's just not something that's ever been an interest of mine, but I just picked one that I liked and that I wanted to share today. So this is by Owen Flannigan, and it's been a while since I've read it, but this is mostly about like what makes life meaningful and worthy. Where does God fall in a world like this, if it, she, they, he does fall into the world like this? And if there is no place for God, then what can morality possibly hold us to? And does that mean that everything is just allowed? Because if there is no God, what are we being moral for? And how do we even define morals? And how do we connect to a deeper meaning in life? So just a nice philosophical read. The reason I bought this book is literally because on the back it talks about Fear and Trembling by Soren Kierkegaard, and that's one of my favorite philosophical reads. Definitely sent me into my first ever existential dread crisis moment. So it's an interesting read. You should check it out. And with that being said, let's get into today's episode. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, definitely give this a rating and add it to your playlist. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and check out my main channel as well. I think you'll enjoy what I have going on over there. We'll just start by introducing you. So today's topic is going to be kind of all about motherhood, identity in motherhood, postpartum anxiety. Amazing timing, honestly. Okay, so we're just going to talk like all things motherhood. Now, obviously, I am not a mom, and as a lot of my viewers know, like I don't really have any interest in being a mom, but it's something I'm so interested in learning about, mostly so I can be a good support system to like my friends, my family, and just any like woman in my life who is choosing that path for themselves. If you want to introduce yourself and like share kind of why you're here.
Hello, my name is Antonia, and I'm here to talk about motherhood and postpartum anxiety. You know, there's a lot that goes into postpartum anxiety, and it's not just regular anxiety. My daughter is here. She is almost 6 months old. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was around October of last year, and we weren't actively trying. If it happened to us. We knew we wanted to get married. We knew we, loved each other. It was just like a bunch of emotions all at once. You feel tired. You feel like sad, happy. You feel everything. You're just like, oh,
right,
God.
Like scared, anxious.
Yeah. And I was
panic.
22 at the time. I still gave birth at 22 years old. And I was young. And it was, the only person I could go to was my mom because she had me when she was 23.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was kind of like repeating a little bit.
I can't even imagine how it feels like have this excitement for it, but also have all of this fear around it. And it's like, how do you tell people? Like
that was hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't so hard going to my mom. I think I was more scared of my grandparents than my parents overall. They were taught totally different things like discipline. There was spanking, there was wooden spoons, there were...
Yeah.
But, today's generation is all gentle parenting.
Did you guys have a lot of conversations around, like, your thoughts and values around potentially being parents, like, before you found out you were pregnant, or did you start having those conversations, like, once you were preparing?
Once we were preparing. Well, we had a couple heart-to-heart about, like, how many kids we wanted or when we wanted them. It was kind of like your future questions and answers that you would, have with any of your significant other. So once I found out I was pregnant, I wanted everything right then and there. I was like, please tell me, do you want this child? Like, I was scared because I was young. I didn't know what I still wanted to do with my life.
Right.
I still don't know, but she's the reason I keep going.
I think, like, those conversations in general, I feel like we don't have them enough with our significant others. Even as someone who's, like, very much, I don't want kids, it's still something that we kind of talk about, like, in case we changed our mind, or, like, what kind of parent would my partner be? Is that the type of partner that I want to parent my child? And I feel like the questions we do talk about are like, oh, like, what names would you want?
I know.
Or like, just like stuff like that. I want to ask you just about your perception of motherhood and how that's changed from like before having a child and then now.
Motherhood is a fulfillment of emotion. You are fulfilled with love, passion, sometimes anger, sometimes frustration. When I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, like, I got a little tiny human in me. It's such a different type of love that I don't think I could even explain. Because it's like,
right,
you love your significant other, but you love this tiny little human.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, I was writing, I was like, Mom, I don't know how to say this. Like, how do you say that you love someone so much?
What were some of the most unexpected challenges in motherhood that you faced so far that like you weren't expecting or that just haven't been talked about?
Definitely loneliness, because I'm a stay-at-home mom.
That's a whole thing in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Was your mom a stay-at-home mom?
No. She was a nurse.
Okay.
She was going to school when she had me. Well, she was pregnant with me going to school, and she was working at the hospital nights. No, I'm the only one out of both sides of the family that is a stay-at-home mom.
Wow.
But not because we are rich. We are not financially stable whatsoever. I'm going to be completely honest. This is just what works for us. And I think that's a stereotype on stay-at-home moms.
1,000,000%.
Everyone's like, oh, you're just doing this because you're rich. Being a stay-at-home mom is two full-time jobs. You're working 24/7.
1,000,000%.
Weekends, from the moment you wake up, from the moment you go to bed.
Stay-at-home moms do not get enough credit. Like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and
really?
To this day, she's still struggling with her identity outside of motherhood. Now that all 3 of her kids are grown up, my sister's married, like, I moved out, we're all grown and doing our things.
Yeah, because that's your life.
It's all she did for,
Now, was she a stay-at-home mom, like, even if you guys were in elementary, middle school? Really?
Always. She's, ever since my sister was born.
Wow. I give props to your mom for doing that.
I don't know how she did it.
Being a stay-at-home mom is not for the weak.
I couldn't do it. I mean, even talking to my boyfriend, even if we were to have a kid at some point, if one of us is going to stay home, it's not going to be me.
It ain't
not going to be me. It could be him, but it will not be
funny.
me. Like, I could never do it. I give so much credit to the people who do. So do you plan on being a stay-at-home mom for the foreseeable future, or do you want to build a career? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
We talked about it. I think if we were to have another child, because we do, eventually we want 2 kids, minimum 3 max. I love being a stay-at-home mom. I love being with my child. I love, doing things that I didn't really get to do when I worked a full-time job.
Right.
I would just wake up, not even do my makeup or skincare, and just call it a day and go out to work. Like, once you have a child, it takes a couple months to get a routine down. Now that we have a set routine, I can place her down. I can do my skincare. I can do my makeup, my hair. Those are, like, the 3 main things that keep me sane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing my hair, I'm doing my makeup. I'm at least brushing my teeth, brushing my hair, and that's okay with me. It's kind of a hard decision because I do miss working, but I think I have to find the right work for me to go back to work. Retail didn't do it for me.
No.
Food service did not do it for me.
So let's backtrack a bit and just talk about, like, the unexpected challenges that you faced and are facing in motherhood. So things that you just, like, totally out of left field were not expecting.
With breastfeeding, I struggled because she only took one side. And it only took 3 weeks until she could use the left side. So I had, like, more milk in one side. That was one struggle. Another struggle of breastfeeding is, you're in family gatherings. You got to go into a separate room. You're missing out on conversations, or you got to be covered up. And sometimes babies don't like being covered up. They want to see everything around them. And, you're being judged in public.
Yeah.
It took a lot of courage for me to breastfeed in public. At least the first 3 months. Like, we went to Target and she was screaming, and I'm like, I'm going to take her to the car. Then I got a little bit comfortable. I'm like, you know what? Can I just walk and breastfeed? And I've done it.
There's also the aspect of, like, does she bottle feed at all?
We've tried 3 bottles.
She's
and
not there yet.
She's choked on milk with the first 2 bottles, and then the last bottle that we tried when she just turned 5 months, she was just way too fussy. I don't think she was hungry at the time, but she started choking again, and I continued breastfeeding even though my mental health dropped, my milk supply dropped.
And especially if she's not bottle feeding, then it becomes your full responsibility to be up all night.
Yes.
With her if she needs to feed. Like, no one else can do that.
Yep.
So now you're with her all day, all night. It's so much responsibility for you, but also emotionally, it has to be a bit anxiety-inducing of, like, I guess, do you ever find yourself getting super overwhelmed and, like, I just need a second, but you can't get that time?
There have been times where I've had to put her down in her crib and let her cry because I couldn't handle the screaming. I couldn't handle the crying. I can handle that. I've told my mom that, and she was like, that doesn't make you a bad mom. That actually makes you a good mom. And I think that's what changed my view on, if I need a minute, I need a minute. And that's okay. And you do.
Everyone needs a minute from, like, literally everything in their lives. Moms are shamed for it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, simply put, because if a dad walks away from his kid because he needs to cool down,
He's doing a great thing.
yeah, he's seen as, like, emotionally regulating. Oh, like, wow, a man with emotional intelligence. But a mom does it. And
we're expected.
you're lazy. You're ignoring your child. You're selfish.
Yes.
It's like, what?
Because we're expected to do every single thing.
Yes.
We are. And, you know, you get comments that are like, oh, she's okay. She can do it.
Like, you're just expected to know. Where, like, men have way more wiggle room.
Once the baby's a little bit older and they know how to play, they know how to look around and, you know, watch her show, like what she's doing now, and you want a minute and you want a break, they shame you. Moms do whatever is best for their children.
Right.
An eye contact nap, sometimes I co-sleep. Even if you follow the Sleep 7 or the Safe Sleep 7, or you're just chilling there with your baby and she's napping, then you're a lazy mom because you're not cleaning, you're not cooking, you're not making a hot plate for your husband when he gets home from work.
I'm like, it's almost 2024. Like, let's grow up.
I know.
And it's crazy also that so many people praise men for doing the bare minimum.
I don't like it when people say, oh, your husband's watching the kids for you. No, he's watching his children.
Yes,
He's
his
the father.
children. Yes.
He's not a babysitter.
Yes, that is so real. Oh my God. This is definitely one that I'm very curious about. So, how has becoming a mother affected your sense of self-identity, and what aspects of yourself have changed?
In the beginning, I did lose myself. During my pregnancy, it was so calm. With my pregnancy being that calm, I didn't really lose myself. I was still doing what I was doing. After having her, I lost myself to the point where I didn't shave. I waited 5 days to wash my hair. I was losing myself. I was getting so frustrated with myself, not even at her.
Right.
Like, it wasn't her at all. It was more of, why do I see all these influencer moms have all these routines?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't have any of that. I'm just kind of surviving.
And the self-comparison too, especially with social media and like influencer culture.
If I want to get into content creating, I'm going to show the real life. I can't
Glamorize it.
Yes, I can't glamorize it. I can't set my camera up and be like, oh, my baby just woke up when she's been up for like 3 hours crying.
Right.
Our generation needs the real,
1,000,000%.
the real side. Even when I was pregnant, I would look up, oh, a day in my life with a newborn.
Right.
And everyone has, as much as I love the non-toxic things like the cribs and the bamboo stuff, that's not in my price range. I can't live a life like that.
I know.
I have to suffer with Dr. Brown's bottles and clothes from Target or Walmart. And mind you, Walmart sleepers are cheap and they're actually really cute. So
Right.
I went to a boutique with my mom yesterday and I saw sleepers. And I was like, oh, this is cute, little horses. And it says the name, $45. Oh, I was like, why? Why are they selling? And it's not
For a baby, like.
for a baby that's going to grow out of it. Another expectation versus reality is when I started watching the birth vlogs, you see all these moms, well, soon to be moms, and I'm not judging. They put makeup on. They want to get pictures.
They have their hair done. They have full-blown photographers in the room.
Mm-hmm. I was kind of scared, not scared, I was overwhelmed at the fact of how many soon-to-be moms in our generation did their makeup, did their hair.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking like a rat.
Literally, that would be me. Like, it would be the last thing I'd be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And it is crazy that we've reframed our thinking to care more about how we look in that scenario versus, like, what's actually going down.
The phrase that bothered me, and again, I'm not mom shaming, I just want to, like, disclose that.
Right.
When they were putting their hair up, doing their hair, doing their makeup, they told the soon-to-be father, I want my baby to look at me like this is how I want them to remember me as. I'm like, I don't think they care. They
don't remember. I don't remember being born.
Yeah, I don't either.
What?
They just want your warmth. They want your heartbeat. They've been in you for 9 months. They want your skin.
No, I've never heard somebody, like, that's jarring to
Mm-hmm.
hear.
And these are big YouTubers.
Right. Like people with a platform that's impactful.
Yes.
And now you have all these younger people watching you who then, when they have kids one day, they have this expectation that that's what it's supposed
That
to
birth
look
is going
like.
to look magical when really it's not.
It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do in your whole life.
It's a magical, bittersweet feeling, but it's scary. I was scared going into it.
Yeah.
She's just, I know everyone's like, oh, she's perfect now, but just wait till she has a sibling. I'm like, I know, but she's just perfect.
I also hate when people say that, because it's like, if you're a good parent,
yeah,
and you're aware of your kids and you're supporting them in all the ways you can, it's like, stop making everything so fearful.
I know.
For mothers. Like, stop making it all like, oh, you just wait. Like, you wait till they're older. I'm like,
that.
Can we not?
With that, when you're pregnant and you're tired. Pregnancy tired is different than, going through the newborn stage. I don't like it when they're like, oh, just wait till that baby comes. You're not going to get all the sleep you can now.
It's like, you're already scared. You're
already
sleep. Like, going through so much.
Oh, yeah.
It's so, like, old school. I can't.
I know.
Going back to identity and, like, all of that. What parts of yourself do you miss from before, and what have you gained that, like, you could have never imagined?
That's a hard question, because I was into spirituality.
Okay.
I was a witchy woman.
Really?
I was a witch at heart. I wouldn't say spells, but I did shadow work. I worked with crystals. I loved dream journaling.
Yeah.
And all of that. I would do I would journal every morning. Every single morning, 5 a.m.
Wow, I didn't know this about you.
Yeah. I journaled.
A little manifester.
I was. Once she was born. I packed most of my, I have crystals out for her, but I packed most of my tarot cards away. My oracle deck, my herbs. I think it kind of just I drew away from it. Yeah. I'm also nervous of the fact when you are new at spirituality, you tend to not know what you're doing.
Right.
Unless you have the research.
Like, you don't want to accidentally summon
something.
Some shit.
And my biggest fear is happening to my daughter or my family, and it's possession. I don't know why. I can't watch The Exorcism. If I feel a presence, I'm like, you got to get away.
Right.
Do not touch my daughter. If I go into someone's house, like a friend's house.
And there's a vibe.
In my head, I'm screaming, like, get the hell away from my daughter. Because I believe in that. I believe in there's a second realm. There's all this different type of stuff. But I think that was my biggest fear. I think once she gets old enough, I'll bring it out.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a temporary pause. It doesn't have to be a forever, like, I'm done with this. But also, you're so busy and you're so preoccupied that, like, dedicating time to that, it's like, it's hard. Time you also want to be giving to her and spending time with her.
And the time that I would have for it would be nighttime.
Are there any other things that, like, you miss from your life before motherhood?
I don't want to sound selfish, but I do miss the one-on-one with my husband.
Yeah, that's actually, okay, that is a really good point.
But that's a big thing, and a lot of people, say, oh, you're selfish. I'm like, I don't know if I would be considered selfish.
That's
because
not selfish.
When the only time we get is nighttime. And unfortunately, like, there's times where I'm tired, like, there's no intimacy.
Right.
Like, that falls, and you're in that roommate stage.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It is hard to get out of it. Finally, we got out of it. We hit the roommate stage when she was a newborn.
Right.
Because
you're both exhausted. You're both
tired.
Like, burnt out.
You have to get used to being sleep deprived almost.
Right.
Because your body's not used to waking up every 3 hours or how many hours they wake up. Because they're going to wake up when they're hungry, their diaper's wet. That was another thing with being in the roommate stage. The fathers, I don't think, lose any identity. They don't.
They don't.
They go out with friends.
That's so real.
They go out, they can play their video games. But being in that stage, that's probably the most lonely you'll ever feel as a mother. Because you're doing everything. Getting out of it, I think we got out of it when she turned 4 months. So it was a good, 3 months that we were in it. Yeah. There's no intimacy. you're tired, he's tired.
It's so hard to connect.
He comes home from work and you just say hi. You don't hug or kiss.
It's like strangers.
It is. And it's rough.
And I feel like it's once again one of those things that there's a lot of shame and like stigma around. But at the end of the day, nobody's relationship, whether you have kids or not, is lovey-dovey, I'm obsessed with you, romantic 100% of the time. Yeah. Every single relationship goes through that.
Yeah, not every day is the honeymoon phase. It's okay to be for the first couple months, and it's okay to fall out.
Yeah.
And even if you're in a long-term relationship, if you're married, like, you need to get out, go shopping.
Yes.
And take a breather, because you're expected to live with that person. If you're living with that person, you're going to need time. You're still your own person. When you want to get pregnant or want to have kids, you have to realize your relationship's never going to be the same. There's going to be lots of challenges because you're both dealing with self-identity crisis.
Yeah. In very different ways.
Oh, yeah. He has to realize that he's a father. And you have to realize that you're a mother. The one thing that's scary is you're in the hospital for 3 days, and they're like, oh, yeah, you can go home. All right, you're going to, what do I do?
Now what, girl?
And that's when it starts to fall. Once you get home is when everything starts to go downhill. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, so it kind of all hits you at once. And then I'm sure with that, there's a lot of tension between you and your partner trying to figure out, like, how do we navigate this? Because it's so new. It's so jarring.
Especially when you're a mother, you kind of know what to do. So it's hard to see a man or so much your significant other because you don't want to tell him what to do. But in your head, you're, like, screaming.
Yeah. I mean, I do that with the dishes. Like, I can't even imagine doing that with another human being.
That causes a lot of tension, a lot of arguments.
I guess I want to hear your perspective on postpartum anxiety or any just mental health stuff you've dealt with in the postpartum stage.
Postpartum anxiety comes very fast. It doesn't creep up on you. It's just like, boom, you're in it. You're in it from the start. A lot of people will say, oh, I watch my baby breathe, make sure he or she's breathing. But it's to the point where even today, I'm laying down on my phone and, like, I'm on TikTok, and I look at the time, and I'm looking at her, and I'm staring. Then I go back to do what I'm doing. Not even 5 minutes, I'm up, looking and staring, making sure she's breathing. I don't know why it's such a trigger to me. The main reason is, like, SIDS. If she's sleeping through the night, I will wake up. And I will look at her. I will look at her, and sometimes it's hard for me to fall back asleep because I'm like, oh my God, is she breathing? Like, what's going on? I'm scared. I unfortunately made my mom buy a $300 mattress because it's 100% breathable.
I don't blame you.
And I've even tested it, and it's 100% breathable, and I love it. And it gives me some peace of mind to know that if she turns on her belly, she can breathe.
Yeah. I mean, I think any dollar amount is worth the investment if it puts your mind at ease and it keeps your baby safe. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. To me, the scary thoughts that you have with having a child is postpartum anxiety. And it's just, they come off random. I'm holding her. She's got to be like almost 3 months at the time. I've fallen down the stairs pregnant with her. I was only 4 months pregnant. Nothing happened. I just hit my back. At his parents' house, we had carpeted like stairs. And I would watch and I would double step on a step to make sure I didn't fall. But in my head, I'm like, what if she like falls out of me and she cracks her head open? Like, those are scary thoughts that I never knew were postpartum anxiety until I went for my 6-week checkup. I wouldn't say intrusive thoughts because I don't know if they're intrusive. Because intrusive's something that, like, oh, if I'm driving.
Yeah, it's like an impulse that you want to act on.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't know if they're called intrusive thoughts, but they are very scary thoughts. There has been one with dogs. If my mom's holding her and I'm getting ready, our dog's name is Traz. I'm like, what if Traz, sniffs her? My mom walks away to go, reheat her hot coffee and he's already eating her. Like, that's a scary thought that I feel like no one else would ever have.
Right.
Or if someone's holding her, I make sure to give her a bath because it's wiping the germs away. Like, I'm scared that she's going to get sick. You don't want to see my Google search. It is signs and symptoms of, is this breathing normal? What happens if she's got something in her ear? Like, it is constant. Like, if she makes a weird noise in the middle of the night, I'm like, what what's this noise? Like, what's going on?
Right. It's like every little thing you just want to make sure. Like, you just need the peace of mind, which is overwhelming because imagine how many little things every single day that are coming up that you're, like, almost obsessing over because you just need to know. It's
draining. It is mentally draining to think something's going to happen every day.
Yeah.
Even driving, I'm like...
Yeah, probably especially driving because it's a literal threat. Like it is. It's a dangerous thing. Regardless of how safe you are, you cannot control other people.
I have to double check and I have to wiggle her in her car seat. Even though I know it, I've heard it locked. I know it's locked. I have to wiggle it at least like 4 times before I can get in the car. In my head, and here comes the anxiety, like, life is so good. It's too good. What's gonna happen? Something bad's gonna happen, and I get scared. Like when she coughs, I'm like, oh my god, what's like? Are you okay?
Yeah. Your brain goes to that place. What were the initial signs and symptoms that made you realize you had postpartum anxiety, and what did you do when you kind of made that realization?
The scary thoughts. I've had symptoms, but I think that was the first symptom that really was like, okay, I got to talk to my doctor about this. Yeah. My OB at least, because I feel like my OB, they obviously know about postpartum and all that. Right. And they make sure to let you know if you need counseling or anything.
Right.
That's when I was diagnosed with PPA. It was definitely the scary thoughts. Intrusive. I don't know if I want to call them intrusive because... I mean, there are things that you'll never do. I was kind of scared. I'm like, why am I thinking that?
Yeah.
But that's anxiety. That's when you have a child, your whole world is completely changed. You have this little tiny human that you're carrying around all the time. And yeah, you're going to be scared if you're going to drop it. It's scary. That and the hair loss. That was kind of after. Like, I knew you were going to lose hair during postpartum because your hormones.
Right.
But losing the excessive amount, that's what scared me.
Yeah, for sure.
Losing weight. I lost a lot of weight. You got to hear it. You got to talk about it. I was 160 before I gave birth. I lost, obviously, my belly, and I was 145. I am 114.
Wow.
I lost a lot of weight, and that's because you're stressed. You are so anxious to make sure she's got all her needs that you don't eat.
Right.
Breastfeeding takes almost 600 calories out of you every feeding.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's crazy how much breast milk takes out of you. A lot of people might not like counseling. A lot of people might not like talking to someone. But if you can find that safe person, it could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be someone random. People need more of that. People need more counselors in that field. And I think that's why a lot of people are scared because there's not a lot of doctors that cover postpartum, or counselors, I should say, that cover any of that mental health issues.
Yeah, it's just wrapped under the general blanket.
Yeah, because they expect us to do everything. It causes a lot of pain for moms mentally because you don't want to tell people. You want to hide it. That can cause a lot of issues down the road.
And that's the thing is, like, because women are expected to just know and you're viewed as, like, lazy or even a bad mom or a bad wife, if you express feelings of mental health struggles, it causes a lot of people to never get help and to never even take their own mental health seriously because they're told that that's a bad thing.
There's a lot of unfortunate child loss because the mom lost their anger. Women have, strangled their child, have suffocated their children because of postpartum.
Right.
And it's not talked about. The extreme hair loss. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I feel like some people have like really good, healthy hair and some people lose hair. And I feel like one is praised and one is shamed, of course.
And everyone's going to say, oh, it's stress-induced. I think it's definitely anxiety plus stress because obviously you're going to have stress with a baby. It's not like shedding. It's clumps of hair. Yeah. Where I'm also Googling, when is this supposed to be done? Like
is this normal?
What can I do to make my hair healthier? Because my hair is dead. It's longer now because my hair was down to, my shoulders. When I was 4 or 5 months pregnant, my hair was just above my shoulders. And now it's grown longer. But the hair loss is crazy.
And there's also, so many hormonal changes going on in your body at all times. So that's going to impact it in a way that no product is going to fix.
Yes.
And it's also really annoying that so many companies like brand their products as like being able to help this when it's really just a money grab for them, because
and I don't think any hair product can help with hair loss during postpartum, because your hormones are
it's an internal
up here
thing,
and then they're going all the way down here. But no, I'm talking clumps of hair. If I'm washing my hair and I'm rinsing it, I'm pulling strands of hair, and it's to the point where my hair is very, very thin.
Yeah.
My hair was so thick. It was so healthy. It's dead. Now it's staticky somehow. That's a new thing for my hair.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's a hormonal thing.
And it totally is.
It feels very defeating. It's got to be really difficult to try literally everything and to have nothing work, and then you almost feel this, like, self-defeat.
That's another thing about anxiety, the postpartum anxiety, because if you're losing this much hair, I'm looking up, like, if it's a sign of cancer or sickness. I gotta know. Like, it's bad. I have to know what's wrong with me, and if nothing's wrong with me, I'll still
You're like, then why is this
hyperfix
happening?
over it.
Yeah. How do you think society as a whole can better support mothers in maintaining their identity and just in motherhood in general?
I think my biggest main point is stop mom shaming.
Yeah.
Because every baby is different. Every mom is different. Would you like the microphone?
Right.
And people don't realize, and people need to understand that moms have postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and there is postpartum rage. I don't know if you know about postpartum rage. Postpartum rage is scary. And people don't realize, like, if you touch a baby with a postpartum rage mom, I'm sorry for you. They don't know that I could have postpartum anxiety, and I could freak out, have OCD where I have to wipe her hands right after, and they're going to judge me for wiping her hands. My main thing is just going day by day, survive. Because that's all you can do. You have to survive. For anyone who wants a kid and is thinking about wanting a baby, newborn stage is not hard. This is a hard stage. Their development, 4 to 6 months, oh my God. They want to run, they want to jump, they want to walk, but they can't, and they get frustrated, and they don't sleep through the night anymore like your little newborns did.
Right.
At least your newborn slept. She's my second pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had a miscarriage.
How long before you got pregnant with her?
When I found out I was pregnant, it was May of 2022.
Okay.
I found out with her in October. It was more of a chemical miscarriage. So it was not far enough along where I'm passing tissue. It was kind of just the egg. But it was sad. And I cried in the hospital bed because we knew we were pregnant, and then I started bleeding. I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Right.
And I cried to my husband. I was like, I don't know why I'm crying. Like, I have loved something that's not even like a cell yet. I think I was like 3 weeks, but I was devastated. I stayed home for 3 days. I was crying. Like, no one talks about the miscarriages that you have and when it's so early. And because that's still hard. Even being like infertile, adopting, all those aspects, you're still a mother. Like I said before, day by day, go day by day, take it slow. It sucks to have these mental issues, and it's hard to obviously take the words like, what are you going to do about it, or deal with it? Like, you got to do something about it. When it's hard to do something about it.
Right.
So in order to shorten that time frame of having it kind of just spark up on you, and it's easier said than done, but when the baby cries and you can't handle it, walk away. Walk away from the baby. And it's okay to walk away because you're not a bad mom. You're actually a good mom or a good parent. And it's okay to talk to someone. Don't ever feel like postpartum anything is embarrassing, because it's not. It's actually quite normal. If you think about it, a lot of moms go through it. Some are quiet about it. Some are just open about it. I was quiet for a very long time until just last month I started talking about it. And actually talking about it has helped me, which might not help you. So you have to do what your gut feeling tells you.
Yes,
you
follow
have to
the
listen
intuition.
to the intuition. You have to follow it. Do not second guess it, because I've done that once and I was actually quite wrong.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like this is going to be, it's going to be super educational for so many people. And I know it was for me as well.
I hope it helps someone out there. Oh.
Good timing, girl. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of And Also. I am so grateful for every guest that comes on the show. And of course, if you yourself would like to be a guest, definitely send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email, whatever you're comfortable with, and we can see what works and if it's a good topic, and we'll go from there. But thank you guys so much for your interest in the podcast and for supporting me. And like I said before, if you are watching the video version on YouTube, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and check out my main channel, which is always linked in the description box. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give this a 5-star rating, add it to your playlist, and send it to someone who needs to hear this message. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.